Welcome to She Coaches Coaches. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and I'm going to help you find the clarity, confidence, and courage to become the coach that you are meant to be. If you're a new coach, or if you've always wanted to be a life coach, then this is the place for you. We're going to talk all about mindset and strategies and how to, because step by step only works when you have the clarity, courage, and confidence to take action. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode. Today, I'm doing something a little bit different. You are going to hear me coach. I'm coaching Heather, who is a leader in the area of supporting parents and allies, the people who are walking side by side with their teen or young adult in the coming out process. This is a sensitive journey, and it really requires confidentiality, careful thought, and empathy. Now, she's been a leading force on this path for years, but she realized that she has some outdated thoughts on her presence on social media, and that's what we coached on. Now, let me give you some recommendations before we dive into the coaching. First, you could decide to approach this episode as a coach. Ask yourself, what do you hear? What would you ask? How would you approach this client's experience? Or you can approach it as if you are the client. Take the conversation and questions that I ask and use them to coach yourself. You can do this by pausing the episode from time to time and writing in your own journal. I want to thank Heather for showing up on this conversation, fully showing up, being present, and growing from the experience. Okay, let's dive in. So what do you want to talk about today?
So I am struggling a little bit with, I have my personal Facebook page that I've had for a number, years that I never go on. But I grabbed it years ago when Facebook first started, blah, 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 whatever. And so it's been sitting out there, and I kind of use it as the vehicle that I go into my work Facebook and then my groups that I like to be in. And so in doing what I'm doing, have always kept my personal separate from my work for a number of reasons. But the biggest being, I did not, initially I was not going to out my son to my personal, people who follow me on personal Facebook, because I just don't do that. Yeah. And, but then over time, it became more of, I just didn't feel like dealing with some of the people on there, right? Because what I do is, it can be very polarizing, and people have very strong opinions one way or another. But it has recently, in having discussions with some people that we both know, I have respected the reasoning for kind of letting everybody know, right? Just putting it out there. This is who I am. Here is all of me, just being super vulnerable. And so, I think sometimes we have these blocks, and so I'm wondering, I guess I have a couple questions, or I'm kind of working through a couple things with this. I'm wondering if this has been like a very subconscious block for me in moving forward, both personally and with my business, the fact that I keep them very separate. I also it's become more and more like, I really need to kind of practice what I preach, which is be authentic, right? Well, this is who I am. This is who my family is. Take it or leave it. So I think but I'm struggling with, I've started a couple of times over the past week writing something up, and I just get stuck. So I'm stuck. So that's what I'm coming to you with.
Okay. So is the challenge that you've got a business Facebook page and you've got a personal Facebook page, and you keep the only time you use your personal page is when you're interacting in a group because you have to be a personal person to be in a group, or is that the
Yes.
challenge?
That's right. I don't ever, I mean, occasionally I'll like see somebody post something interesting as I'm going through because you kind of have to go through your personal to get to all your business stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll see a post and I'll be like, oh, that's whatever. Congratulations. Hi, happy birthday, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Um, but other than that, no, I go right through and I'm on my business pages and my business groups. So
What's the easiest thing here?
well, I mean, I don't know. Get rid of my personal page.
What's the easy thing? Like you've created, there was a minute back there where you said, here's my two things. And just before that, you went, "Ah," like, it's just like, it's really, that sigh really says so much. Like it's really preying on your mind. But does it really matter? like, I don't know. Does it?
Well, I don't I think it's been kind of pushed to the forefront for me just because I've, witnessed someone else do this very thing and thinking, and I think it's kind of, for me, it's created the question of, or made me kind of think, okay, am I being fully authentic if I'm very purposefully keeping these two things separate?
Okay, so I got a question. I got a thought here for you.
Yes.
So there is a place where you are authentic, and then there is a place where authentic does not mean everything that you ever have, every piece of who you are must always be on public display, right? Authentic might be that there are parts of your life that you decide are private. And when you decide that they're private for a reason that matters to you. The safety and security of your family might be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Where we show up, how we show up in the outside world is, nobody says that you can't use the word authentic when you decide to have some discretion about how you show up. Does that make sense? Like, I personally don't think, like if the question is, am I being inauthentic at some level if I don't put everything about my personal life on my personal Facebook page and put it out for the world, or at least the 5 people who might be interested, put it out there for everybody to read. Is that true?
No. But here's where this question, where I'm going to kind of circle back to it, because I completely agree with that, which is why I've never really been on Facebook personally, because, well, just because. But I think I kind of come to face with this because I do have because of what I do, and what I do is, it is very personal. It does involve my family, and it does involve a topic that can be quite polarizing. And so, in kind of owning that, right, as I've, supported my son in owning that. And my question really is this a step that I should be taking? And I'm really struggling with it because I totally agree with what you're saying and I see what you're saying. But then I think, well, this is my business. This is what I do. I coach people who are, going through this. Right. So it's not really that secret anymore. Right.
I mean, anybody could go find your podcast and go, oh, blah, blah, blah. like it's not like you're not available.
Right.
Anytime. Like, when you Google your podcast name, there you are, right? Like, it's not a secret.
Right.
So why is that okay? And then the Facebook thing is like, that's the place that it feels nerve-wracking. Have you ever Googled yourself? Have you ever seen what comes up?
Not for a long time. I haven't.
Okay. Well, so that's going to be one of the things to do, is like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff is here already. And here I was thinking I had this little private corner. Nope.
Nope. It's funny because my kids have Googled themselves and they always laugh because this family picture of ours that I have on my website is always the first thing that comes up. And they're like, Mom. And I'm like,
there.
But of course, I haven't done the exercise myself. So I need to do that. Okay. Thank you. You did. This has offered some clarity and some removal of pressure on myself that this was a necessary step. Right. I mean, I kind of feel like, you said, like people who no. I mean, it's not like I've hidden that I have this podcast, that I have this business, but I haven't made like an official announcement. I think that's what it is. Like there hasn't been this like official declaration of, so do I need to do that? I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm kind of like so far down the road that I'm like, oh, do I need to back up 3 miles and do that?
Yeah. So you have, oh darn, you don't tell me how many episodes you have, but you have pages and pages of episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of episodes. This is not a new thing, right? Like, how many episodes you got? I'm going through all the pages. It's all right.
I think I have 53.
Right?
Yeah.
Here you are. Oh, now let me tell you about my business.
Okay, see, this was like this silly. I mean, you have no idea that this is a huge weight lifted off me because I've had this stupid Word doc sitting on my desktop for the past week and I keep going to it. I'm like, I don't even know what to say here. Like, I've literally had things like that have been published in local papers and stuff about it. Like, do I really need to go through this exercise? I don't. Okay, I don't. Done.
Right? Like, it's just, you know what it is it's, I believe that it's one of those things that because it is a potentially cutting edge business, right? And there's a place where your children could be impacted.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get that double dose of protection. Like, first, we as humans don't want to be too vulnerable because it might mean that then we're excommunicated. But then if you are looking at one of your prime drivers as a mom is to keep your kids safe and happy. We want nothing more than our children to have safe, happy, wonderful lives and have everything that they could ever want. So you've got kind of that double dose. So like, this just feels like it's just kind of like one more little layer of, like just one more little layer. It's like, oh, I thought I was still protecting my children, but wait a minute, I've got like 100 episodes on my podcast out in the world with my son's name on at least 3 of them and my family photo that comes up, right? So it's like this, but I'm protecting them.
Oh my gosh.
Aren't we funny?
I mean, really, all with their permission. I've always asked for everything, before I do anything. But I think, between I think we're all a little bit naive, but I'm definitely naive when it comes to, how technology and all these things work, which is funny because I always say, especially to my younger kids, I'm like, you'd put anything on social media or on the interwebs. I don't care if you delete it 1,000 times. It is out there forever and ever. Amen. Right. So don't do it. Right?
Yeah. There is actually a business that will remove all of your history.
Like forever and ever?
I think so. I don't know how they do it, but remove your entire digital footprint. And I think that is really common for people who have had maybe a bit of a rocky life at some point, and now they're going for some big promotion, or now they're getting their big break or something like that. And they don't want anybody to know that, they were human and they had a rocky life. Right.
Right. Yeah. I do it more to, it's one of those few times. I don't typically parent by fear, but occasionally I choose the route of don't do this because you'll never get into college ever or get a job or right. So
come back to the original question.
Yes.
You had this, you've got your personal Facebook page, which you kind of, and then you've got your business Facebook page, and then you participate in the groups and you have your own group. Where are you at now with that? Should I announce that I have a 100-year-old business on my personal? Sorry.
That was a little bit of leading the witness, I think.
I'm so sorry. But you're an expert. I mean, I bet if I looked up your podcast on Listen Notes, you're probably like in the top 2%, like, right? So like, come on.
I know. See, and that's such, now I feel so silly for asking that question, but I really was like in this like conundrum of, and then maybe that's why it was a conundrum, because I'm thinking, well, I've been doing this for so long. Do I need to like backtrack that much and actually make an official, like, okay, this is what I'm doing, all of you people who I didn't tell in the first place for a reason. Like,
right. And so here's the thing. It's so much is driven just by our need to, exactly one of the things that's your mission, our need to belong and to feel safe and to feel not judged. And you practice that so much with the people in your community, with your family. And it's just like, it's a little veil of where you're showing yourself that, oh, I get to belong too. I don't have to judge myself. I can accept who I am. I can just breathe too, right?
Yes. See, that comes in handy so often, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I hope you're okay with me putting this on the interwebs when the time comes, because I really want people to see that we have these things that just like, they go in our head. They're like a little, what are those things called? Like an earworm when that song, right? That song plays forever and ever and ever in your head. It's like that. And we'll just turn and turn and turn on them. And then when you start to really look at it, you're like, wait a minute. I'm just fooling myself. I'm just,
right.
And it's I don't want to laugh about the fact that being open and vulnerable and visible is scary. I just think that you don't realize how visible you already are, like how many steps you've already taken. And you did it because you weren't thinking about you. You were thinking about, this will help people. This will help my community. Here's somebody who could help my community. If Connor tells his story, it's going to help. Like if it only helps one young person, it could change the course of the entire world, right? You did all of that thinking about other people. It's a big deal.
Thank you for putting it in those words. I really hadn't thought about it that way. And it is interesting how the human brain works, isn't it? How you get stuck on something and then somebody repeats it to you and you realize, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Right?
Right.
So thank you.
You're welcome. So is there anything that you need to do from this conversation? Like, is there any action that you actually want to take?
I'm going to delete the Word doc that I was working on, and I'm going to cross it off of my to-do list because it's also there. And I'm going to Google myself because I have not done that in a really long time. And now I'm curious.
Yeah.
Are those really weird to-dos?
Not at all. Not at all. I think it's great. It just means that you've got clarity and closure.
I do.
And that your brain is now freed up to do other things that you got. There's lots of other things on your to-do list.
There are. Yes, there are.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening today. Please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Also, I would love to hear from you. Did something that I say resonate? What else would you like to learn about? Click the link in the player and leave a comment on the post. This is going to give me great ideas for future episodes so I can help you best. Join me again next week for more coaching, support, and teaching to help you become the confident coach you are meant to be.